We keep the stories by giving the stories to people who take them and give them again. In the circle of tellers, the circle of listeners, who become the tellers of stories that circle the heart like old friends.
There was once a farmer who was a fairly well-to-do farmer. He had 3 sons. His first son was strong and handsome, and he knew it. His second son was also strong and handsome, and he knew it too. His third son was a lot smaller, fine-boned, and during his birth, the mother had died. So the youngest son was not the favorite of the father. He was also not the favorite of the sons. In fact, they didn't even bother to call him by his rightful name. They called him Boots instead. And Boots did all the work around the house. He not only did all the work around the house and cooking and cleaning and so on and so forth, he also did all the field work too. Now this farmer was a wealthy enough farmer. He not only had the barn that was attached to the house with the animals, but he also had a barn over close to a field that produced well. It was a very large storage barn. And they grew wheat there. And on the Feast of St. John's Day, they went out and he checked the field, and he knew that the next day it was going to be ready to harvest. And went to bed that night. The next morning they went to harvest the field. It was gone. Well, the ground was still there, but instead of the flowing wheat that was there, all of it was down. It was just stubble. That's all that was left. And nobody knew what happened. Well, there was nothing to do at that point but wait for the next year. And once again, they planted the field and they watched it grow and they checked it, and same time, the next year, they were going to harvest it. But the farmer sent his strong and handsome oldest son to sleep in the barn the night before they went to harvest so that he could see what was happening and protect the field. And son walked in, saw a nice pile of straw on the floor, and thought, okay, this is going to be comfortable, and he fell asleep. And he slept very well until all of a sudden the ground started shaking. And the barn started swaying. Oh, there was a terrible noise. And at that point, he thought to himself, I'm out of here. And he left and he went back home. And the next morning when they came to harvest the field, it was gone again. And the father looked at his son and he says, son, what happened? He goes, gee, Dad, I don't know. Well, there was nothing to do but try again the next year, and they did all that they were supposed to. And once again, on the night before harvest, he sent his son. Well, the first son hadn't been too successful, so he sent his second strong and handsome son. Surely he would be able to take care of the field. But again, like what had happened to his brother, the ground shook, and the barn swayed, and there was a terrible noise. And he too, like his older brother, thought, I don't need this. And he went home. And once again, the field was gone when they came to harvest the next day. Well, nothing to do but try again next year, and that's what they did. And this time, well, the farmer thought nothing ventured, nothing gained, and so he had Boots stay there. Now, Boots was ecstatic, because this was the first time that he actually had a soft place to lay on. That straw looked really, really comfortable. And he laid down there and he fell asleep, and he slept there until the ground started shaking and the barn started swaying. There was a terrible noise. But he waited, and it stopped. And he got up and he started heading to the door to see what was going on. And once again, the ground started shaking, only worse, and the barn started swaying so bad he thought that perhaps it was going to fall apart. And the noise was horrendous. But he waited, and it stopped. Now he was just about to the door, ready to have his hand on the latch, and the ground shook once more. It shook so badly, he fell down. The barn started shaking so much that there was a plank or two that fell out of the roof, and the noise was deafening. But he waited. And when it stopped and he opened up the door, there he saw a bay horse grazing. And on the ground next to the horse was a suit of armor, the color of a bright, shiny penny. Now, when you have a life as hard as Boots had it, generally people find a place that they can be alone, to have some quiet moments that's theirs, and it's a secret place. And he had this secret place, and he took his horse and his armor to the secret place where he could steal away and take care of it, and it wouldn't be taken away from him by his brothers and father. Took them there and went back into the barn and laid down on that nice, soft pile of straw. And the next morning, when they came to harvest, there was the field, and it was ready, and it took him at least a week to get it all harvested because it was such a bountiful crop. Well, the next year, the farmer knew which son he was going to send to guard the field, and once again, Boots spent the night before harvest in the barn. And once again, the ground shook 3 times, each time progressively worse. And the barn swayed 3 times, each time becoming more. And the noise was terrible, to the point of being deafening. But when he opened the door this time, he saw a horse the color of midnight. Oh, it was so black it shone in the moonlight. And on the ground there was a suit of armor of shining silver. And he took those and put them with the other horse and went back and had another good night's sleep. Well, the 3rd year, once again Boots was sent to guard the field, and the same thing happened with the ground and the barn and the noise. But this time when he opened the door, there was a horse the color of milk. No, not milk, that was not white enough. The color of freshly fallen snow. And the suit of armor was shining gold. And he took those and put them with the others and went back to sleep. He got a good night's sleep once a year. Now, about